Welcome to Loup TV. I'm Gene along with Andrew for Tuesday, February 1st. Our three topics today are Google earnings, a Tesla recall, and some toy department from Walmart. And hit the lead here, Andrew. Google earnings, your reaction?
Well, strong results from Google. Market loves the results and the 6-for-1 stock split. I'm curious, Gene, as you digest the results and think of Google as a bellwether for broader tech, the broader market, and for advertising businesses, what's your take on the results?
I was anxiously awaiting for Apple's results last week. Second to that was Google's results, because those are the two bellwethers. And in the case of Google, what really stood out to me was the upside in search. It was 6% ahead of where the street was at. Overall revenues for Google was 4% better, but that 6% was in their most important segment, as I mentioned, search. And I think that's important because what we heard last quarter from Facebook and Google was that advertisers were holding off some spending because of the supply chain. It didn't make sense for them to advertise when they couldn't get a yield from that. But we have seen some movement back towards that. The overall revenue grew 32%. That is a deceleration from 40% last quarter, but still better than expected. And I think it's a sign that advertisers are fully engaged in the economy. That was my biggest takeaway.
And then as you think about the results, just as in the context of Google and their business going forward, how do you digest those results?
Well, I think first thing that comes to my mind is Google and some of its competitors. I think that this is a positive read on Facebook. We'll see their results tomorrow night. And again, I'll probably say there was some impact from holding off, but I think this is usually they move their businesses. Google and Facebook tend to move in the same direction. Facebook has IDFA to try to navigate, but I think it's a good indication. And then more importantly, I think just to the bigger arc of the Google story. And we have been having some hand-wringing over the past couple quarters just about what is the true growth rate of these companies. And last quarter, one of the themes was the 2-year stack, to go back and look at how things were growing in 2019 and use that as some sort of a benchmark of how things are going to grow in 2022. In the case of Google, they, as I mentioned, grew at 32%. They were growing at 19% on average in the final 2 quarters of 2019. So we're still a material step up. So they can still see a deceleration, still be at a higher pace than they were a couple of years ago. Compare that to what happened to Netflix. They were growing at 30% the last 2 quarters before 2020, and if you look at their sub growth, it kind of implies around 15% growth going forward. So that's an example of Netflix pulling forward future demand and not seeing the follow through. Where Google, it's just, as I mentioned, the oxygen of the internet. And I think investors can sleep well knowing that they're powering at a level higher than they were 2 years ago.
Fair to say Google's a favorite in the FANG list for you?
I would put it kind of third, and it's a tough list. I think Apple is at the top. I would put Facebook second, in part because I think there's still some anxiety around investors that have been negatively impacting the model. I would say if you're just looking for great companies to own, I would put it Apple and Google. So I guess it's a question of like a 1-year trade around Facebook, or do you stick with the gold standard with Apple and Google?
All right. Thanks for your take on Google earnings.
I'm going to ask your take on Tesla FSD. We did that as FSD. There's a recall. I love the world of recalls today. It's a software recall, but this is related to the rolling stop, something, Andrew, that you flagged. We don't own a Tesla, but we have experimented with some of FSD and this rolling stop feature. And what do we make of all of this 54,000 vehicle recall related to the rolling stop?
Well, going back to the rollout of the feature in the FSD beta, it was certainly puzzling why they would enable on purpose an illegal maneuver in a computer system. And it's one of the amazing, perplexing, and
why do you think they did
concerning. Well, I think they're trying to recreate and improve on human driving. And part of any human driver's kind of natural habits in driving is typically a slightly rolling stop. But I think they made a mistake there, and they're getting a slap on the wrist for it. This feature is being requested to be recalled. And as I learned about it, you read about an auto recall and it just sounds like a nightmare for the company, because in the old world, the car had to be recalled to a physical location to be updated. And as I learned about how this recall will take place, a software recall is just so much easier in the new world order, where Tesla can recall software and update it automatically. It turns from what I see as a negative for Tesla into a positive. The fact that they can adjust and respond to the latest regulatory environment with a simple software update.
Makes sense, spinning the negative and the positive. Leave it to Elon to do that. Think back to when the Cybertruck was rolled out. I also think part of the logic behind them having this rolling stop feature is one of the things that's kind of part of their branding, their DNA is just around kind of being real. And I think that rolling stop, unfortunately, is a real part of a lot of driving, and they probably wanted to kind of embrace that. It would seem like this would have been a pretty predictable end to the rolling stop feature, and I would be surprised if we see it again. But we bid farewell to the rolling stop feature and hello to the toy department, and we have some news from Walmart and Angi, formerly Angie's List. You want to tell us a little bit more?
Well, what we learned last night from Walmart is they're going to be partnering with Angi to essentially offer customers turnkey DIY services for things like mounting a television that you buy from Walmart, or installing a smart air conditioner in the window. The news caught my eye because as investors in Enjoy, which delivers and sets up tech products for Apple customers, for example, I saw this as potential customer or increased competition for Enjoy and what they're doing. I'm curious though, as you think about Walmart and Angi partnering up, what's your take on the likelihood of success of such a conglomerate?
Well, maybe first, the Enjoy thing was probably furthest from my mind. I'd put a full light year gap between what Enjoy is doing and what Angi's doing. And Angi's a marketplace, 250,000 service professionals in quotes. And the reason why I say that might seem kind of harsh, but we've experimented with the service, and our experience hasn't been, I think, what we hoped it to be.
No, I think you and I together are like 0 for 5 for
could
Angi's
be 0 for 5.
projects.
Could have just been the wrong 5. But the concept of what Angie's trying to do in Walmart and partnering with them is brilliant. It is the idea of taking home services, which is a difficult, just to get people to return your call, to show up on time, to know what a project is going to cost beforehand. And they are trying to simplify that. And so I absolutely love the concept of what they're doing. There is challenges around taking a marketplace that has people who are looking for business. I think some of the best service pros don't advertise, and I think that there is a question about the types of service pros that you're getting. Again, small sample. They're trying to solve a really big problem. They'll get there over time, but I just think that this is from a headline, it sounds really good. I think from practice, it's going to take some time to work out these kinks. And I encourage them to do that, because I think once they do, it's going to be a great service that I'm going to love to use. So
yeah, it seems like something that Walmart should certainly partner with somebody for, right? Because that is not part of their core competency.
Well, the other thing is, like, is Walmart really it's like Home Depot should be doing that. Home Depot partners with people now too, but I don't really think of Walmart. I guess you could get some kind of home improvement. You could buy a TV and have them mount a TV, but you're probably not going to be like doing really home projects with Walmart stuff. So that felt a little off too.
Amazon's mostly failed efforts in this arena.
Wow, yeah. It's a big opportunity. It kind of falls into that camp of really hard problems to solve. Probably iBuying is in that camp too, and I think home services is another one. And we've been doing this for a long time, and I've been thinking last 10 years I've been hearing and looking at companies that are trying to accomplish this, and wish them the best of luck.
All right.
So
can I play us out?
Please do.
All right. For Loup TV, Gene, I'm Andrew. Sayonara.
Adios.